What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Well, we got the full moon lunar eclipse. It is tonight, this evening. It's a big time, big eclipse season for sure. Final time we're going to see Pluto in Capricorn going through this eclipse season. So it's turbulent, it's volatile, there's a lot of changes, and let's break it down a little bit. There's definitely a lot to talk about. If you didn't catch your sun or rising sign horoscopes, they're up in the live tabs, so check it out. Appreciate you all. Um, yeah, 25 Pisces with Neptune. I mean, what's a full moon, right? It's a release, it's a peak out of energy. What's an eclipse? It's with the nodes. It's destiny, it's fate, it's new chapters, especially on the north side of things. I think that we're realizing too that there's a lot of things that need to dissolve, and that we've put a lot of false illusions about certain things into our lives. And we put a lot of ideals or big expectations, especially with Pluto back in Capricorn. Thinking too or feeling like really embedded in some kind of a tradition or something that society's kind of planted on us in some way in our lives. And this could be just a manifestation of where we were born, where we were raised, the families we were in, the schools we were brought up in, to colleges if we went to them, to different social circles, different, societal traditions. And it varies from person to person, place to place, across the world. And it's definitely a big evolutionary moment for us as we're having to make a big shift and really let go of a lot of karma, a lot of old programs, old chapters, even our own programming that we've put on ourselves about certain dreams, visions. We're definitely going to see the vision change. So it's being okay in a sensitive time where there's so many feelings, and there could be a high level of maybe wanting to escape certain things, get out of reality. It's Virgo season. Get out of the day-to-day grind. It's very it's a karmic clean out, and that's kind of what I've, decided to, call it in many ways, because we're really cleaning out the closet so that we are lighter spiritually, so that we can tap into our intuition better, so that we can kind of see the truth. And there really isn't truth in the now, per se. It's starting to be okay that truth is changing, even with Jupiter, the planet of truth, and belief, and expanse, which is in Gemini squaring this lunar eclipse. And Jupiter's, trying to objectify truth in a subjective time where it's even North Node Aries. And we need to be very subjective about what our truths are and be able to, go on the journey and kind of collect more data and not be so dogmatic in many ways about certain changes in our life. And see that there's luck out there, but luck also comes with effort, and it comes with some kind of planning and an understanding of our capabilities, our capacities, and what we need to grow. So, having to really see that there's a lot of things that can expand right now, but they don't necessarily just come by a magic trick. They don't necessarily come by pulling a rabbit out of a hat or snapping our fingers or saying abracadabra or even, a lot of, a chant we might do or something. I mean, these things are all great, and I love to believe in magic, But everything is a little bit more pressure focused on being able to be present in our realities and see where realistically we can make some adjustments. And most of these adjustments are going to occur by not falling into old habits and old patterns and subconscious things and subconscious triggers, and really evolving past these things. Not being so stuck on how one thing has to affect us in a certain way, or how what we do has to affect us on a certain level too. And even just being present to know what affects us does affect us, and to not constantly be pushing things under the rug and playing some kind of a game with ourselves of like, ooh, it'll be fine. Because, like someone commented in the comments yesterday, it's like, we are kind of in a time right now where, like, some things are not fine. Some things are kind of like spiritually drawing a line in the sand, physically drawing a line in the sand as well. And you want to make sure you're on the right side of that line for yourself. That's really harvesting a beautiful reality, that's really doing something that's purifying for your mind, body, and your soul. And these are things we need to be on our game for. And it can be so easy to slip up on things right now. It's so easy. I have been fighting myself on a number of different things that I know I shouldn't do right now. And like really having to like, oh my gosh, like the addictive qualities within myself about things that I haven't even been putting focus on for months have been creeping up. And it's like, wow, right now, huh? It's so funny. Right now, all this is creeping up. And I'm having to like really find willpower with that North Node in Aries and this Mars in Cancer squaring these nodes for the eclipse. Dispositor of the North Node, right? Like that's a big deal. And yes, it's coming off the exact square, but it's at a 1 degree orb. It's tight and right. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be. It's like these. It's like these little teddy bears or something comfortable in life that we've done before, and it's like you just need me to feel good, and everything will be fine, and you'll feel good again. Yeah, you've identified with me before. And it's like, yeah, I've identified with you before, and I know that you're not very good for me. you're not you're not improving my life. You're giving me a hit of comfort dopamine that isn't progressing me towards my goals, towards my spiritual awareness, towards balance. And it's almost like we're trying to balance our life with things that we know isn't very good for us right now. And like that's just not the stuff to balance your life out with. And like this is a time to throw all that trash in the garbage. Throw it away. We don't need to be tempted by these things that we know aren't good. There's data. I've been talking about data for a month now, it feels like. With all the Gemini that we started out this Virgo season with, and like just the Virgo season, like it's just there's a lot of analytics and data, and like there's just no reason to discard the data and throw it away for a false sense of feel good. We have to like stop needing things outside of ourselves to make us feel good. And I think that this is such an important time to realize that. And I think many of us do, but it's like there's temptations everywhere. Whether it be through people and relationships with the South Node in Libra and Venus strong in Libra and with Eros and starting to square Pluto. And there's like heavy desires. And like we want to make these long-term commitments for things that we think are going to bring more value into our life and more balance. And we want to double down on certain things. And even with people, or we're realizing we got to get away from people. You know, that magnet goes both ways. But we have to, it doesn't really matter necessarily if you need to be around people or not. or if you need to numb reality or not. It's just more about we need to feel safe with nothing but ourself and our emotions and the truth and the fact about what's going on in our present lives, and to make proper adjustments on those things, and to know that that's going to pay off. It's going to pay dividends, and that we're making the proper investments. So it's like a big time of like really investing in ourselves and investing in, the courage and strength to feel good without external things. And for some people it's money, and like we have to feel good and confident about ourselves even if money isn't flowing in. And for some people it's like want relationships but can't find relationships right now, and you got to feel good and and comfortable and confident in yourself right now without somebody else being a wingman, a wingwoman, helping you along the way. For some people it's career goals. And like none of that stuff defines you. You define yourself by how you show up day in and day out, and by how you grow, and by how you get through hard times, and by choices that you make. And it's a big time of like just making good choices for yourself and feeling like you're doing the right thing. So, very interesting. And Saturn is opposite Mercury, and it's a very strong Mercury, right? +9. It's a very strong Venus. And Saturn, mutual reception with Venus. Which ironically, Venus is quincunx this eclipse, and Saturn is semi-square Pluto. And Venus is also trine Jupiter. And starting to quincunx with Uranus and come into a really big yod. So a really interesting yod to Venus during this eclipse season as we wane down to a solar eclipse in Libra at 10 degrees. It's just quite interesting how much of this is about breaking habits and tradition and being able to rebel. And I think that's Uranus here making really good aspects to the sun with a trine and a sextile to the moon as well. Right in a sweet spot here where we've gone through a bunch of these Uranus squares in Leo, and now we're starting to see the other end, which is the trines, and how liberating it'll be when we do throw the nonsense in the trash, and when we're able to spiritually grow. And I think really find that uniqueness in the person that we are now, in that individuated state, to really rebel from stuff that isn't of ultimate value and bringing in a better life. And it doesn't have to match a certain ideal of the past, but it can definitely give us insights into creating new ideals. And I think that's where we want to, be at too, is looking ahead and looking at the future, but still using the data from the past to make good decisions. Because it could be so easy to make a bad decision. And I do feel like this bad decision, like especially with Saturn in the collective 12th house and like a semi-square to Pluto at 29 cap being disposited by that Saturn, like that just feels like we're gonna get in trouble. Because the 12th house is like jails and psych wards and mental institutions, hospitals. I mean, the universe could put you on timeout if you're not doing the right thing. And I don't mean like from a societal based rule standpoint, although probably should right now because of the astrology and where this Pluto is at the moment. Like you probably should. Because I feel like the punishment is going to be it's going to be unjustified. Like, we won't even be able to justify why the punishment showed up the way it did. Whether it's a sickness, whether it's some weird just event, whether it's nightmares, I don't know but it feels like because of a South Node in Libra, it's just that, like, you think it's going to be just? You think the ruling from the powers that be is just going to be just and fair? I mean, yeah, we'd like to think that, but like, kind of like bigger consequences than I think we might even realize. And that's why I think it takes so much inner determination right now and resilience and integrity within our own souls to really identify and be on our game, to not slip backwards, but to dig in for what we already know and have factual proof on is good for us. Keep digging into what's good. Now, if you don't know what's good for you or what's bad for you, and you're just going to dig into something because you think it might be good for you, or your ego just wants it to be good for you, that's where this Mars in Cancer is going to eat us up with these squares too. So we really want to just be on our game. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's not a good time to be wishy-washy, right? Because that's very South Node Libra. Like, well, I don't know if it's very good for me. Maybe. Maybe it's good. Maybe I have a good relationship with that thing or that person. Like, no, you either do or you don't, and you better not do the thing if you know it's not good for you. It's just like I'm telling you, like, things will get way more blown out of proportion, and like, you'll feel like maybe in a spiritual prison of some sort. And it could come through the Virgo side of things now, of like guilt, being way too self-critical and hard on oneself. So it's liberating right now. And it's only liberating and giving us freedom to explore more value and create more good things in our life if we're making the good choices and the pure choices. And even with this sextile triangle, even just with Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, like these three outer planets in this like beautiful mathematic, and this it's just beautiful geometry to even have them just sit here in this aspect. And it kind of goes unnoticed because they just sit here for so long, and we kind of like almost don't think about it. But the liberation of forming new structures and new disciplines and things that are spiritually pure and things that feel divine is pretty amazing. And I think that that's where a lot of magic is right now. But again, like, it's not a substance that's going to get you to that magic, or a person, or recognition. A lot of it's just you, and you recognizing all those things in yourself and finding that magic. So it's an important time, and I think reflect on some of the things we talked about so that you don't feel like you locked yourself up and threw away the key, but that you're doing everything you can. And I think that that's all that really that's all it really takes, is like, you just have to do the best you can. Nothing has to be perfected form. I know we might want perfect all the time. We might want perfect often right now. Nothing needs to be perfect. It's perfectly imperfect. We don't have to be so hard on ourselves. We need to really find our flow state and find our channel, find what connects us, so that we can listen to that and be like, oh, yeah, I did almost want to do something that I knew I shouldn't, that I know isn't good for me. And don't do it. Throw it in the trash, because there's a lot of new opportunity that's ready to spring up for us right now. Tons of new stuff. Whole new generation with Pluto coming into Aquarius. You know, we're on the cusp of a whole new get down. Even the nodes, you know. Like the North Node moving from Aries to Pisces beginning of next year, like that is, you know, a full North Node trip around the zodiac. Of course, they move in retrograde, right? So that's a full tripper. So, starting to really see what's new. And we don't want to fall into the old. And we don't want to be stuck on a precipice right now and scared to jump when we know that the facts say that it's time to jump. And there can be some subconscious fears, unconscious fears of trying new things, and we could be a little emotionally terrified. And there could also be analysis paralysis where we know, but we're still looking for like a certain answer because of an ideal or a hope that something was going to work out. But it's kind of like you got to find some impulse right now to just do the right things and to carry that forward, not even just for this Tuesday, but to carry that forward through eclipse season, through the rest of this year. Because I like to tap the pen and it switches. Because it's going to get weird. It's going to be a weird year. Because we want some kind of justice, and there's just not going to be justice unless we create and identify it for ourselves. And we got to get out of our own way by creating stories and illusions. And you know, I just think it's funny that like the two malefics happen to be the planet of the day and the planet of the hour. Tuesday just so happens that 7 o'clock is the hour of Saturn. The two malefics. And like, I don't want to give you guys a horoscope like this is the most malefic thing in the world, but like this is lunar eclipse is a recipe for malefic energy. But it's like, and two, we got to think about Pisces and Neptune here. We don't have good boundaries. So like the stuff that we take in, the stuff that we are around, like we're soaking things up right now. And I'm telling you, like, you got to be conscious about what you're soaking up, who you're soaking it up from. It's just like there is some malefic energy out there that could want to like overtake and overpower and have you feeling weak with a fall Mars squaring the North Node, which it disposits, like, which can really get egos like ramped up to do something to fall, you know, like to fall off this mountain of Capricorn that I drew on the new moon in Virgo. We're up here. It's a trippy time. It's super trippy. We have psychological traps around every corner, and they're traps that we've set for ourselves to try and avoid, spiritually and physically, and there's traps in society that we need to be careful about right now too. There's traps with people that we've karmically set up in our life right now. And not everything's a trap. That's the hard part. Is like some of the things are going to be really they're good, and we put them there for purpose and for reason and for a mission and for destiny. But the only way to know this isn't by an ego desire. It's by a just outright knowing of what's better for you based on what you've seen from person, place, or thing. Not hoping that something's going to change because you have good faith. Same thing for you. Like, you can't just have good faith in yourself, but not be willing to karmically and like spiritually like purge some stuff that's really just detrimental and not helping out. So that's what I got for the eclipse. It's a big deal. A little bit more serious than I like to be. But I hope it's good advice, and I hope, someone takes it to heart and makes the positive changes. Because we all have some baggage, and a lot of this baggage is just overweight, and there's just no reason to carry it. And a lot of it's emotional traumas, subconscious things that we might not even really think about, but we get in a position and we get triggered by it, and things happen like these gotta go. Like, we gotta redefine and recreate our boundaries, and also redefine and recreate our unbound potentials. Because even though you might believe, that you're unbound, there's always some limiter in life that tries to show us we can't. And even that can test our faith. And we also need to redefine that. Like, so many things need a better understanding, and a better understanding just from deep within, from you. So, we'll see what the card is for this lunar eclipse. I grabbed the Badass Tarot deck because, well, in light of, this astrology and how easy it would be to make bad decisions, this deck is full of bad decisions, and maybe it'll shine some light on something. What bad decision are we going to pull today? The Eight of Cups in reverse. How funny. Go fuck yourself. That's what it says right there. Yeah. Well, it's so funny, right? Because this is the card of turning our back to things. Leaving, walking out the door. And it's reversed, and it's like we would rather go fuck ourselves and stay in situations that are bad. We're like almost craving to do the thing we know we shouldn't. It's like we yearn for it. Like, we're like, yeah, well, let's see. F around and find out. We need to walk out that door. Because there's a chapter changing, and the door's open for us, and it's the universe is like, just walk through the door. Just walk through the door. We just want you to walk through the door. Will you please just leave and walk through the door? And we're like, I kind of like this thing. I don't really want to. It's not good, but it's like, I'm comfortable. It provides me with some sense of security that isn't my own, but it's externalized, and it makes me feel a little bit safer, even just for a minute. We need to stop telling ourselves to go F ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to take care of ourselves right now and move through the door the universe is trying to open. And it's even an 8. It's karma, it's the number of, it's an infinity, for Christ's sakes. Saturn. Our decisions are so important right now. Do not F yourself by not making the right decision. Just be conscious, pay attention. It's not like these aren't things we don't already know. So it doesn't have to be so difficult. Like, this isn't, Da Vinci's Code. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we can overthink things right now and try to make this, certain things into way bigger things. And some things could be big things. But, it doesn't have to be, it's not Da Vinci's Code. It's like there's obvious traps. Avoid those. Get to where you need to go that you know is better. All right? All right. I love you guys. Happy lunar eclipse. I hope that it's a beautiful evening. I hope you have a great day. There's always, positives, and I hope I, delivered on some of the positives of this. I hope at least for somebody that was considering doing something they know they shouldn't, they listen to this and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do it, that works for one person, I'll be happy. I love you all. Have a beautiful Tuesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Much love. Peace.